Hello and welcome to So Strategic. Josh Delgado here in our 30-day mindset challenge, right? This is a 30-day intensive to actually walk through what it takes to build a seven-figure business. Now, if you're just joining us for the first time, 91% of businesses never reach $1 million in gross revenue. And that is just bonkers to me. I say it every single day. It's so crazy to me that the majority of business owners and entrepreneurs who get into actually building a business to have success, right? To have freedom, to have a better life for their family. Most of them never actually even reach $1 million in gross sales. Now, you can still live a life of abundance. You can still live a life of freedom with your family without doing that. But this is for the people who want to take that next step. Okay, so if that's you, let's jump right in. Now, what we're going to talk about today, and this is a continuation of yesterday, it is your execution strategy, right? Yesterday, we talked all about buying back your time. How do you actually get your time back so you can work on your business and not in your business, okay? And today, we're going to take that a little bit further and look at one specific strategy. Now, that specific strategy is distribution channels. Anytime I'm ever working with an individual, right, one of the first things, it's not the first thing, it's usually mindset that we cover first. We make sure that, the actual mentalities around building a business are there. They're in line to be able to actually have the mental fortitude it takes to build and sustain building a business. But when we start talking about how do we actually generate more revenue, right? Because we're talking about companies that are, 300,000, 500,000 in annual revenue. How do we get them from 3 to 500,000 up to $1 million? And that takes something in scalability, right? You have to take the next step of scalability within your company. Now, one of the things that I like to think about with this is distribution channels. Now, you might be asking, what is a distribution channel? A distribution channel, and this is my definition. This is not the, Webster's, dictionary definition. This is Josh Delgado's definition of a distribution channel. It is leveraging, right? It's creating leverage to actually get your product or your service moved forward faster through some other vehicle. Okay. Now we could think about this from a few different ways. We could think about it from, literally a in-house sales person, right? They are a distribution channel for you. You are paying somebody a set amount of money on a weekly or a biweekly or a monthly basis, and simultaneously you're giving them some kind of commission structure to move your product or your service forward. That's the most common thing that we see in a business. You just hire sales reps, right? That's a very robust way of saying just hire some salespeople, right? That's one distribution channel. But when we start talking about creating leverage in your business, you don't want to exchange one for one, right? You don't want to exchange one person for whatever that person's max capacity is. Because if you have one salesperson, that salesperson might be able to bring in 10, 15, 20, 30 new customers a week, depending on what line of business you're in. You want to figure out, how do you scale in a way that is disproportionate to the amount of time that's actually being required to achieve that result. And so when we're really looking at creating a distribution channel, it's about creating massive leverage for yourself so that you can be more on your business, working on your business, and less having to worry and chase, sales targets and all that different kind of stuff that just requires a lot more of your time. Okay. Ultimately, we want to scale effectively. We want to scale efficiently. And part of that is making sure that you are not becoming, like I said in the last video, a slave to your business, right? You don't want to be a slave to the thing that you're trying to build toward freedom in. Okay. Now, if you're using a business to try to get a lifestyle of freedom, right? Freedom, impact, all those different kinds of things. If you become a slave to that thing, then what's going to happen? You're going to be burned out. You're not going to like it very much. Your family's not going to like you very much. You're not going to get to spend very much time with them. And ultimately, you're going to probably be a pretty sad person. Now, that's not what's going to happen for you, because you're going to deploy some of these strategies and actually begin to implement a better way of running your business. So what does this better way actually look like? When we're trying to multiply the scalability within our business, how do you practically do that through these quote unquote distribution channels? Now, it depends on what kind of business you're in. Okay. If you're selling a product, right, direct to a consumer, right, we say B2C, right, your business to a consumer, there are specific things that we can do, and we're going to talk about those. And if you're going B2B, there's specific things that we can do in that regard. That's business to business. I'm sure you know what both of those terms mean, but just for any of you who are maybe a little bit newer within your business, that's B2C, right? Business to consumer. B2B, business to business. Okay, first, you got to distinguish which side of that you're on, or maybe you're kind of in the middle and you've got elements of both within your business. Okay. Now, specifically when we're creating a distribution channel, we have to look at how do we get our product or service moved through as many different eyes as quickly as possible. Now, there's different ways you can do that. One of them, first off, being aligning with some kind of marketing partner. Okay. You see this very often in different kinds of businesses through influencer marketing, all these different kinds of things, right? That creates a distribution channel for you. Some people do it through even different traditional forms of advertising, right? You might have a partner that you align with that is, a marketing arm, and you give up a percentage of what you're doing to that individual in exchange for them pushing your product or your service forward faster. Now, so let's say you're in a very business to consumer, right? You're selling a direct product. I think specifically about one of the particular clients that I work with, we are working on a specific strategy for a particular type of product, and we're aligning with other professionals who are in a similar industry to leverage their particular product to be sold by other individuals. So we're talking, how do you build wholesale opportunities for others to sell your product, right? You build in the margins, you build in all the different things that you need to in order to make financially what you need to be making to make it worth it for you. But simultaneously, you still create opportunity for someone else that's attractive and that makes them want to actually be working with you. Now, when we're building a distribution channel business to business, B2B, it's usually through revenue share opportunities, right? In my experiences, revenue share opportunities are usually the best way to do this. Now, in one of our particular companies, we do this with a lead generation company, right? We work with this lead generation company. We provide value to that company. In exchange, we get to leverage the leads that they're generating and sell those leads to our particular client base, right? And there's ways that it's mutually beneficial between the two of us working together that allow it to actually be beneficial across the board. And now, when you're creating a distribution channel, especially through external partnerships like that, it has to be win-win, okay? So you have to approach building those relationships in a way that is bringing true value to the party that you're hoping to gain value from. So if you lean into it from giving first, the likelihood of that actually working for you and being sustainable for you is going to be significantly higher, because they're going to feel, if you're just trying to take from them, they're going to feel that, right? People are pretty wise. People usually can read people pretty well. And if you're trying to mess somebody over, you're just trying to, get something from them without being willing to give something of yourself, eventually you're going to be found out, and eventually it's all going to crumble for you, right? So moral of the story, be above the board there, do it for the right reason, really try to be someone who brings value to the people that you're connecting with, right? That's first and foremost. You got to do that. But when you're creating these distribution channels, you have to make sure that ultimately the goal is to better the customers that are buying your thing, right? So if in the context of what I was saying a while ago, if we aligned with a lead generation company that had a crappy product and we're just using that for them to pump something that we have further forward faster, right? It's not going to work out very well for us, because I'm not thinking about my customers in mind. I'm just trying to sell and thinking about the money first, right? And if you think about the money first, it's not going to work out for you, okay? Ultimately, you have to think about, and this is as we've talked about from the very beginning, you got to be thinking about your ideal customer, their pain, and you're reverse engineering that back and creating these distribution channels to solve that pain for them quicker, faster, more efficiently, and in a way that's more effective for that particular client. So now that you know you need a distribution channel in your business, what do you practically need to do to bring it to fruition? Okay, now we're going to go back to the very beginning of this series, of this mindset series, and we're going to reverse engineer kind of what we had talked about, right? We said you need to figure out who that ideal customer is. That's the person that you're trying to sell your product or service to. And you have to remember what their actual pain point is, right? So understand the pain point that they had and realize that you are the bridge to that solution, right? Your business becomes the bridge to solving that person's pain. Okay. Now, what we're going to start to do is just take a step back from your business and think about other pains that customer might be experiencing. So that ideal customer avatar, right? What are other things similar that might actually be affecting them as well? What are other potential pains that they have? And then what you start to do is you make a list of any kind of business that might be in the business of solving that adjacent pain. Okay. Now, what this does is it allows you to see beyond just your own business and see other businesses that might have an opportunity for you to create some kind of partnership with, some kind of revenue stream, some kind of co-marketing, co-branding. Okay. And this allows you to actually gain more market share faster through the network of another company, right? This is the essence of a distribution channel. Okay. So if you're doing this through, let's just say, for an example, that you are in a line of business that works with, and the older demographic, right? Let's just say older individuals. Okay, your particular company solves a specific problem for them. Now, in that particular demographic, there might be a ton of different other things around that with companies that solve those problems for them. And now, what you need to do is you need to take what you've learned about those other companies. So go do some research, go do some due diligence on the problems that actually feel somewhat aligned with what you solve. Okay. Now you reach out to those individuals, you reach out to those CEOs, the presidents of those companies, and you say, hey, I'm so-and-so with XYZ company. We do this. We believe that there's the potential for us to have some collaboration together to benefit both of our companies. We would like to schedule a conversation with you to actually discuss the potential of a revenue share option or the potential of a co-marketing option or a co-branding option. I would say this sidebar, stay away from co-branding if you can, unless you know and you trust that individual, right? That kind of ties you together a little bit closer. If you're just doing a co-marketed thing, right, that's a different story. Or if you're doing something where you are packaging together a series of products, right, your product or service with their product or service, that's a little bit less risky for you as you're getting to know these individuals that you're working with. But ultimately, when you're starting to figure out a distribution channel and a distribution strategy, right, for your distribution channel being established, moving beyond the single salesperson selling as much as they can and running out of capacity, you're creating that leverage by connecting now with businesses that can propel your product and service forward faster, more efficiently. Now you're dealing with an individual who manages a sales team, right? Or multiple individuals who are managing multiple sales teams across different businesses that you're aligning with. So if you want to figure out how to grow and scale your small business to 7 figures faster, figure out how to deploy some of these distribution channels as quickly as possible.